r/AskReddit. What were the words said that made you lose all respect for someone? I asked an acquaintance if he'd started saving to help pay for his son's university fees. He's not going to university. Why not? Quote, I don't want him to have a better job than me. Imagine having an ego so fragile that you don't want your children to do better than you. That's so sad. I thought most parents would want their kids to do well in life, but that guy sounds like a complete a-hole. And as you say, a fragile ego. He just sounds like a pathetic narcissist. I actually hope his son went into university in the end, one way or another. Dad, guess what? I have another child. Sorry, no can do. I only have one child, and you can't be better than me. Picture packs. I know we haven't talked since high school, but I wanted to see if you would be interested in insert pyramid scheme bullshit here. Quote, yup, girl that made my entire high school experience pure hell tried to sell me oils. Worked in a nursing home kitchen on summer break from university as a 19-year-old kid desperate for money. Mostly my job was based in the kitchen, washing dishes and cutlery, but at meal times I had to go and deliver food trays to residents. As I wanted to preserve the dignity of the residents and as their room is their home, I knocked on every single door before I entered the room with their food. All the residents really appreciated it and I became very popular with them all eventually. Apparently none of the other staff did that. According to some of the monsieur, even though it's now been a couple of years since I last did that job, I still remember most of the residents' names and seeing all of them was by far my favorite aspect, as well as being the saving grace of what was the worst place I've ever worked at, a care assistant who I'd normally got on with beforehand, because we bonded on football. Notice I knocked on residents' doors. Now apparently I was causing dinner service to be slow or something from what I heard from co-worker gossip, but my boss just told me I'm doing fine. The care assistant just said to me, just go in, don't knock. I just looked at him open-mouthed, saying that's a breach of privacy. He just looked at me and coldly said, just do as you're told. As he was not my boss, I just ignored him, and I lost a great amount of respect for him because of that. I also tried to keep interactions with him to a minimum after that, and I was suspicious that he was abusing one of the residents. Unfortunately, I couldn't prove it. Working in a care home made me lose my faith in humanity temporarily, and the way we treat our elders is utterly terrible. I do not want to go into a care home myself when my time comes. Why can't you just forgive him, brother that molested me? You and older estranged brother are tearing this family apart. Asterisk said to me, 16F at the time, by my mom during a discussion about my suicidal thoughts caused by the first brother mentioned. God damn it, I have second-hand rage from reading this. I hope you're doing better. How dare you? My dad said that last year while I am staying temporarily at his house. I'm 35 and was going to go on a date. My mom, living across the country, screamed at me over the phone and didn't speak to me for months because I had a boyfriend at 33. It was apparently scandalous because I was divorced. I asked her if she thought I should remain single forever, and she answered, completely seriously, yes. I know we haven't spoken in ages, but wanted to say sorry your wife passed away last week. 4 messages later within the next hour. I need you to fix my computer. Now would be great if you're free. Good lord. Sorry for your loss. My old boss said I had to delete him from Facebook. His posts are so annoying, fair enough. Except his brother died and he sent up 1/2 messages celebrating his life, expressing his sadness. I've not seen her in a positive light since. You're a Leo! Exclamation mark. Question mark. Oh my god, that's like the one sign I absolutely cannot date. You got out of that one easy. Dodged a bullet. Before my girlfriend and I started dating, we were in this nebulous will they, won't they, for a whole year. She had just gotten out of a relationship and 3 months later found out I was interested, so she flirted with the idea of dating me, but also was hesitant. She had a list of pros and cons. The cons were, no job, no ambition, can't grow facial hair, those are reasonable. The inability to grow facial hair was silly, but understandable. What I found absolutely ridiculous was that, because he's a Libra, was on the list. We've been dating 5 years. I still tease her about this. You know, this is a way for women who think you're fugly to let you down easy. Right, you get to feel superior and think she's an irrational moron, and she gets the last laugh. I know, it didn't feel good when I realized it either. Sometimes you need to show a woman who's boss, get a little rough with her and remind her of her place. Buddy's dad used this after a few of us playing games at his house saw him grab his wife by the hair and march her out to the garage because he wanted beer and they were out. There is losing respect and calling the cops on an abusive person. Holy. You're the lead cook. Do you really need to leave? An old scout leader asked me that when we found my grandfather had been put in the hospital with pneumonia after his stroke while my family was on a campout with our troop. It was the last time I saw my grandfather, and to this day I still have no respect for said scout leader. Knew a girl that never checked the road when she crossed the street. I challenged her on it and she said, "That's what brakes are for." 10 years on and I still feel rage whenever I think of her. Edit. Everyone seems to be under the impression this happened on an actual crossing. Nope. This was just a normal road. There weren't even any traffic lights. Guy in car who doesn't brake for pedestrians, that's what looking both ways is for. Knew a guy who always said that. He got hit by a car. Guy had a dash cam and it proved the driver wasn't in the wrong. So hospital and paying for the damage to the car. So at some point she'll get hit. Insert X's name here. Just spiked this girl's drink. What a lad. Quote, double whammy. 2 respects lost in 1. Okay, this is when you actually inform the authorities. GHB, another date rape drugs, can kill people. I knew a 19-year-old girl who died because her drink was spiked. That's not just grounds for loss of respect, that's grounds for full-on disrespect. You hit the monsieur, you kick the monsieur, you do whatever is in your power to do bodily harm to that person. Both of them. Edit. You'll need to stop mentioning the police. The police in most countries are complacent in their duties on the best of days, and the good ones you're gonna try and bring to light a few and far between, like 1 or 2 per county. If you're lucky, when it comes to seeing somebody raped, you need to do something about it yourself. The criminal justice system, even in first world countries, don't do anything about rape. Don't let some innocent girl get raped because you didn't want to get in trouble. A night in jail is better than somebody's ruined life. My ex came up to me at a university ball and told me he'd gotten the numbers and met some really hot girls, but that he still preferred me and begged me for a second chance. Via text he told me there were cuter and more amazing girls than me, but we just got along really well. Then again told me I should reconsider. WTF, mate? You mean you weren't honored that he chose you over cuter and more amazing girls? Shocker lol. Something tells me he got turned down by these cuter and more amazing girls and ended up at this all alone for being socially inept. My ex once told me about a woman he saw at a restaurant. She was insanely hot. I mean, you're hot in your own way, I guess. But she was hot. I am absolutely shocked we aren't married anymore. Simply stunned, I tell ya. Oh no, a good posture and a healthy heart. How unfeminine. S. I will go extra hard at Pilates just to spite this person. This. I work with a guy who's one of those crazy Christians. He has 9 children, 5 of whom are international adoptions. He only referee to his children by rank, location, and biological. So third, adopted, Malaysian. He recently had one of his children there to start doing things they liked and acting out. This child is 17, nearly 18. He asked my advice. I told him it sounded like depression to me. This child was adopted and grew up with some horrendous things happening to and around her. They never got her any help. What made me lose all respect for him was when he came into the office the next week and proudly said she came to me obediently with her tail between her legs just like she is supposed to. That sounds really messed up. What the heck kind of adoption agency even lets a person like this raise kids? From what I know of it, second-hand admittedly, it's absolutely not a simple process, and they make sure they aren't sending a kid to a family that treats them like a pet, because that's how this sounds. Like this guy wants a dog and not a person. My friend told me she was pregnant with her and her husband's second child, but it was an accident. A few minutes later I find out her definition of accident means that she had stopped her birth. control for 4 months because it was too expensive, but they were so shocked that she got pregnant. I cannot grasp how 230-plus adults don't understand the concept of A, how birth control works, and B, that if you can't afford a few bucks for birth control, her pills cost about $7 a month. You probably can't afford a child either. They already had to beg for formula from friends and family for baby number 1, but they'll figure it out. God, I don't understand how couples like that are somehow able to be parents, while there are women out there who have suffered several miscarriages and can't conceive, and they're way more fit to be moms than these loser couples that keep popping out kid after kid, and clearly cannot afford it. It's not fair. My dad, who is a pharmacist, discussing how mental illnesses like depression and ADHD are not real. Is your dad okay? Had a date on Monday. We got to talking about stars in space, and I mentioned how Voyager was past the sun's envelope and into interstellar space. Without missing a beat, she said, "You shouldn't get your science facts from Star Trek." I couldn't hold back my expression. They're a little confused. No, that's it. I mean, I'd say that too. I'd be joking, but I'd definitely say it. Dude, I think it might have been a joke that sailed over your head. My sister-in-law was complaining to my mother-in-law that she ruined her childhood when her parents' marriage broke up. My Mill explained once again that her ex beat her and she couldn't stay, to which my Sil, a ducking lawyer of all things, said, "You were his wife and therefore his property and he had a right to beat you." From that moment on, my Mill has claimed that the only daughter she has is me. My husband changed his surname by deed poll to his mother's maiden name, and we have absolutely nothing to do with that side of the family. Duck the monsieur. If I managed to not react really badly to that, I'd get out my phone, turn the camera on, and casually ask her to repeat that. Asterisk raises hand, asterisk snaps fingers, monsieur, excuuuuuuuse me, waitress, exclamation mark, quote. Used to be a waitress. I only ever got that once. I literally stood stock still and stared the man down without saying a word. The silence got really uncomfortable before he eventually apologized. My manager used to say, "You're paid to be polite, take orders and serve the food. You're not paid to put up with people being a-holes. You're my property. You're still a child. You don't have strong feelings. You're still a child. I can read your diary. You're not allowed to have secrets. You're still 8 in my eyes," etc., etc. My mother, I stopped respecting her at 11. Years later, why don't you ever tell us about your life? If he tries to have the funeral here, I will personally turn up and ruin it. The owner of a business I worked for said about my friend who committed suicide, "My friend's dad wanted to hold the funeral at where I work because it meant a lot to my friend." That pisses me off. Along with "men can't be abused," say that to the titanium plate behind my dad's left eye, you twat. Anyone who says this permanently loses any ounce of respect I might have ever had for the monsieur. I'm a really good drunk driver. In fact, I drive better when I'm buzzed. I was sexually assaulted by a coworker, and my boss told me that if he were in my shoes, he would be able to extend forgiveness. I've never cut ties with an employer faster. I don't like looking at facts when forming my opinions. In what context was that abomination of a sentence uttered? Just now I read on Twitter someone said, "I'd rather lose my right to vote than lose my guns." I'm pretty sure if you lost your right to vote, your guns would follow. That's so incredibly stupid. I'm not from the US, but isn't the entire foundation of owning a gun so that the government can't take away your rights? Shortly after my dad died from cancer, someone I knew said it was better for everyone that he was dead. I was glad my dad wasn't in pain anymore, and I was glad I didn't have to spend 40+ hours of my time a week on top of a full-time job feeding him, wiping his butt, getting him in and out of chairs, beds, and a portable toilet thing. But if I could have just my dad back without the cancer, I would. So no, it's not better for everyone involved that he died. I still had questions to ask him about so many topics. Same with me, dude. I worked with my dad at a bussiness he created after getting an idea from me playing with Legos as a small child. It was always my dream to work with him, and when I got the opportunity I felt like it would never end. Then he died suddenly of a heart attack at the end of June 2019. So many unresolved issues and questions never to be answered. My mom is wholly disabled, and now it's my responsibility to care for her like he did. He was my best friend, a mentor, and my dad, and I miss him every day. Sounds like they meant well but phrased it in one of the worst ways ever.